cheese.
Spray cheese.
Man, you are a hillbilly.
You can write love notes on.
Oh, I'll bet you
crackers.
can. I bet you write them on Jonas. All right, 25 to the hour here in the Imus in the Morning program on the radio around the country and on the Fox Business Network. Tonya Reiman is, well, you see her on Fox all the time. I see her. She's on once a week. She's one of the most sought-after nonverbal communication experts in the country. She, along with appearing on Fox, she writes for a bunch of folks, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, all that sort of thing. She has a brand new book out called The Yes Factor. Get what you want. Say what you mean, The Secrets of Persuasive Communication, and it's published by our friends over at Hudson Street Press. Please welcome to the Imus in the Morning program, Tonya Reiman. Good morning, Ms. Reiman.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Well, I said today didn't start off well. So Warner did something that irritated me. And then Bernie did something that irritated me, the people on the program. And just one thing led to another, and here we are. But
We can't have cranky. We can't have cranky. It's got to be all good.
But I love, what's love? I like when you're on TV.
I like it too.
I see you with O'Reilly, and
Yes.
well, it's always fascinating. Why is it, I wonder?
Well, because you learned something that you already know, but you didn't know why you knew it.
Yeah.
So suddenly you go, oh my goodness, there's that aha moment. I recognize now why I felt that way about any given situation.
Cal, most people can tell when somebody else is lying, can't they, or can they?
No, because, there's a really fine line between anxiety and deception, and what happens is we confuse the two. So sometimes we might think that someone's being deceptive when, in fact, they're in a situation that makes them really highly anxious. So we accuse someone of lying when, in fact, they're just really nervous.
I've read some of the book. I found it so fascinating.
Yeah.
And then I was telling somebody that it seemed like homework. So I
It
said,
is
man, I
homework.
can't wait to have her come in.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be an easy way you can explain this so that I don't have to read it. So we can all learn how to do this.
Right.
So
Well, there's some basics that you need to do. Like in the back of the book, there's the 21-day plan. And the reason I put that in there is so that if you don't want to do all the homework, you can kind of say, oh, I need to make changes. I want to make changes. Practice one thing new each day. So the first day, practice making eye contact if that's not something you're comfortable with. The second day, practice smiling. The third day, listen to how you sound.
is that
Make
a
sure-
ring you're wearing, or is that a tattoo?
That is a tattoo. That is my husband. See that? Mm-hmm. We're branded. That's it.
That's kind of cool.
That is.
You have 3 children?
I do. Yes, 3 babes.
How old are they?
My daughter is 14, which is painful. My son is
Why?
going to be, just because where did 14 years go? Where did that go?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Snapped. It's
Yeah.
gone, My son is going to be 13 next month, and then my youngest is 7. He's going to be 8.
Can you tell when they're jerking mom's chain?
They're the easiest. And, you had a guest on earlier who said, oh, I know you can, the kids, you can read the kids. Yeah, the kids are the easiest to read because they haven't learned how to hide their signals. And one of the things I always say to new parents is watch them because they'll give their signals to you. And as long as you don't tell them what their signals are, they'll never change them. So if something comes up with one of my kids, I watch and I smile and I wait and I wait. And then a few hours later, I'll bring it back up. And they'll be like, how did she know? Well, I knew because you gave me a signal 3 hours ago, but I didn't want you to know that I knew. So you keep it under wraps,
We're talking with Tonya Reiman. Her book is called The Yes Factor. Get what you want, say what you mean. How'd you get interested in this?
This started for me early on in psychology. When I was at Pace University, one of my teachers was discussing proxemics, which just means like how we use the space around us to manipulate things. And he came all the way into my space, and I didn't really realize that I kept leaning back. And then suddenly, when he was face to face with me, and I kind of felt this uncomfortable feeling, he said, okay, everybody, I want you to stop and look at Tonya. And I realized I'd been bending all the way back because he had been manipulating my space. So that was kind of my first taste. And then he talked about deception. And at that time, they were very much of the mindset, if you look in one direction, you're definitely lying. And if you look in the other direction, well, you're trying to remember something. Since then, what they've found is that in order to really determine that, you want to do something called norming or baselining, which is, I'm looking at you and I'm trying to figure out, what do you normally do? What do you normally do? And then once I figure that out, going forward, I want to look for deviations in that. So if you normally look up to the left when you're remembering something, and now I ask you a question and you look up to the right, I go, why did he look up to the right? What was the reason? And so you put that into context with other
that's
cues.
a lot of work.
No, it's not. It becomes second nature. It's just a matter of time. And like you said, sometimes you automatically know, but you just don't know why you know. So this just tells you why you know.
When you got your husband's name tattooed on you wore that instead of a wedding ring, right?
Yes.
Did you do that when you got married? That's fascinating. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
that's never seen.
No, actually,
It's neat, actually.
we've been married for 20 years now.
Right.
So we did this 2 years ago. And, all of a sudden he said, why are we both wearing these rings? He had a problem with his ring. So he said, why are we both doing this? Let's just, get it branded. And when we went, we had such a hard time. Nobody wanted to do it. They're like, tattoo on the finger. What, are you crazy? And then finally we found someone who was willing to do it. It was great.
And so he has,
Tonya,
we would hope.
Sarah, Jean.
We're talking with Tonya Reiman. The Yes Factor is her book. There were some notes here that I want to ask you about appealing stuff that people would be interested in. Get anyone to say yes to you. How do you do that?
The first thing is you want to bond with them. You want to build rapport because at the end of the day, this is really about personal satisfaction, making people feel good about who they are and who they're talking to. Because if you and I are having a conversation, the first thing I need to do is kind of build rapport with you to make you like me. Because once we've done that, you feel like we're similar, we're more likely to connect. So that's the first step, building rapport with someone.
How do you know, though, when you're trying to ingratiate yourself with somebody, not to overdo it or.
Well, the key.
It always annoys me when people are too friendly.
Yeah. Well, it's not friendly. It's kind of mirroring back what you feed me. So if you're aggressive, then I'm not going to be aggressive, but I'm not going to be overly nice either. I'm going to be neutral until I feel you out. And then I'll feed you back not only the body language that you use, but also some of the words that you use. And that's really just about making you feel comfortable with me because people tend to like people who are like them. So if you and I feel like we're similar, there's a better chance that we're going to connect.
So this is stuff you can learn. I mean, there's just fundamental things that you can learn help it work, obviously.
Oh, my goodness, big time. Especially on a job interview, when you're trying to get a promotion, even if you're trying to get a date. Anything you do to kind of build that rapport and elevate your own status is going to help you in that area.
It's 18 till the hour here in the Imus program. We're talking with Tonya Reiman about her new book, The Yes Factor. Are you on O'Reilly every week?
Typically every other week now.
No.
Yeah.
It's always good because it's always footage of people who are lying.
Yeah.
And
For the most part.
You suspect they are. And then she reads that's good. You've seen it, haven't you?
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
I have.
So-
Yes.
Yeah. Again, you're looking for these little cues that say, is this their normal behavior? I mean, there's definitely cues that say, okay, this person is perhaps being deceptive. But once again, you always have to make sure that they're not just anxious. I've looked at body language of people being interrogated by the police. Well, of course, in that situation, they're going to look guilty. But a lot of times that's just because they're leaking anxiety.
When you're on with O'Reilly, is he interested in what do you get a sense whether he's interested or not? Or
He's always interested,
yes.
but he doesn't always agree. So, that's the fun part. Tonya, I see what you're saying, but I don't agree with you. And he has that opportunity.
Yeah. He's a body language guy too, then, or?
Well, he loves to do it. Yeah, he loves to analyze everyone
I see.
and give his feel and give his
Well,
take.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
So, did you?
No.
So.
Oh, come on. You must have heard him say it.
Well, no, we haven't. But
Okay. All right.
sometimes, you know what I do a lot, and you don't get a lot out of these programs, but a lot of times I'll watch programs with the sound off.
Yes. That is one of the most powerful things to do. It really is, because what we give off non-verbally is really the most important piece. If you and I are having an exchange and I go, yeah, having a great day. My words said I'm having a great day. But my body language said what? Sarcasm, closed off. So if you listen to the tone I use...
So did your tone, though.
Right. The tone is most important,
Right.
and then the body language. But if you hear the words, I'm having a great day, and then you hear the tone, and you see me cross my arms and kind of tilt my body, you recognize I'm not really having a great day.
Right.
So the nonverbals, which includes the tone, because tone is called paralanguage, says more than what the actual words say. So for the most part, people are going to believe the nonverbals over the verbals.
Like I watch stuff, like I used to watch Alexis Glick, and I would imagine she would be saying certain things. She wasn't saying them, but it's just my source of entertainment.
Yeah. Whatever
Okay.
works.
She wasn't saying, come over to my house
Yeah,
No.
right. That's,
and tie me up.
yes.
But
That's what you were
I-
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's according. What's it, Charles?
You were projecting.
Yeah, it's a quarter till the hour here at the Imus. What's an important thing to remember to do when you go in and ask for example, a raise?
The most important thing to do is make sure that you maintain eye contact and that you have a good expression on your face. You don't want to look nervous when you're going in. You want to look confident, shoulders back, eye contact, making sure you're smiling, pointing yourself at the person. And what I mean by that is lining up with them and then using their words, using words that they're using. So if they're using visual words, like I can really see what you're talking about, you want to feed them back and say things like, I'm glad you can picture that. Because that's, once again, it's this unconscious connection you're making. If you come to me and say, oh, can you see what I mean? And I say, yeah, I really hear you on that. There's a big disconnect right there. And you might not recognize it as a disconnect because it's subtle.
Why would there be? Why is that?
Again, it goes back to we tend to be comfortable with
'Cause
people
when you
who are
say-
like us.
When you say I can really hear you on that sounds to me like you would be,
Well, the issue is that you're visual. If you say, can you picture that?
Right.
That means you really work in pictures. You think visually. So you want to feel comfortable with somebody else who thinks in pictures. So if
Right.
I say, yeah, I see what you mean, then you and I are both in that visual mode.
Oh, I see.
Right. I see. I can picture that as well.
So if you say I hear you,
Yeah. Then if I hear you, that rings true to me as well. So using auditory terms when somebody uses auditory terms, kinesthetic terms, do you feel what I mean? Oh, I grasp that. Yeah.
okay, what do guys need to look at? Well, what are some
Wait a minute.
what are some body language tips that guys can look at for, say, a woman walks into a bar or a restaurant or
Right. Women,
AA meeting?
it's funny because women constantly give off signals. We'll kind of get closer to the people that we find attractive, and it's an unconscious thing. We don't realize it. Suddenly, we're walking towards what we're interested in. We also tend to make eye contact, tilt our head a little bit more, have a coy little smile, rub our glasses a little bit more. We give off the signals, and sometimes a man just isn't really open to seeing them. It takes a little bit more work for a man to pick up on signals than it does for a woman.
Is that information contained in your book?
It is, because that's
Oh, well,
really
that's
pertinent information.
What pages?
Then what page will that
turn
be
to
on?
that page.
Then you just need to get this book.
Yeah.
Well, very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Wonderful to meet you as
and
well.
thank you for coming in, and good luck with this.
Thank you.
I don't
Thank you
think
very
you'll
much.
need it. So it's
Yeah.
a
It
fascinating.
sounds
Yeah.
fabulous.
If
Lot
you
of
can get
fun.
past the fact that it's homework, but
You know what? It's homework that will build habits, new habits, and that once they're formed, there's no looking back. Once you can do this, that's it. It's
and
forever.
that last part we talked about, you can get a babe with it. So
Yeah, absolutely. Get
Tonya
the hottie.
Reiman, the book is called The Yes Factor. Go to BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon or someplace, or you could even go to a bookstore and buy it. The Yes Factor, Tonya Reiman. It is 12 till the hour.